This is scientific products that they're using for growing cannabis products, and you can catch a lot of the stuff that we're actually going to be seeing and doing here.
Hey everybody, I'm Alex with Catchmaster. So I have kind of different things that I like to talk about usually, but I decided I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a background, instead of jumping straight into just the products themselves. So kind of like the birth and innovation through expansion is Atlantic Paste and Glue Company to Catchmaster Grow. Give you an idea of who we are. So we were founded in 1952 by Moses Frisch, who's an immigrant chemist from Hungary. He opened his doors to AP&G as a manufacturer of specialty adhesives based in Brooklyn, New York. And then 1977 is when the Catchmaster brand was introduced to the pest management industry. So this particular logo, the rhodas down there that you see, is really well known by all the pest control operators throughout the entire industry. We have customers like Terminix and Orkin and all, and they use this particular line when we make their glue boards. 1982 is when we first made the Catchmaster glue trap. Here that you can see, this is a plastic glue board with a tray with glue in it for rodents and various crawling pests. And then 1991 we started making fly product lines, and this is just one example. We have several now. Of this is the gold stick that has like an attractant on it for filth flies and whatnot. And then that brings us to 2020, where we acquired a revolutionary UV fly light product line called Vector. And the reason for that is because we make the glue boards for these fly lights. These fly lights are used throughout almost every industry, hotels, restaurants, and everything, as a way to mitigate fly problems. It's a specialized UV bulb that attracts flying pests to a glue board rather than a zapper. Zappers are unsanitary, they're messy, or like you might see wind blades, right, that just like kind of throw flies down into your food or something as you're walking by. This is actually going to bring them away and keep them to a glue board. And the bonus you get on top of that is you get to monitor as well. You get to see what kind of pest you have as well. At the end, you can pull the glue board out and look at it. And I'll talk about that at the end, about how that can help growers as well, and where you can put something like this. And then that's the whole timeline. As you can see, a lot happened, a lot of products from 1952 to now, which brings us to Catchmaster Grow. So this is our Catchmaster Grow product line that's specifically designed by growers for growers. My background is I come over almost 20 years in the industry. I started with as a grower at several grow operations in Northern California. I worked for Botanicare for R&D before they got bought out by Scotts Miracle-Gro. Worked for Royal Gold, and I came in with Catchmaster to really kind of help round out their intentions and their product designs. And so this is a little illustration that we kind of made, just showing various placements for sticky traps. And this is more of a greenhouse, which can be applied to indoor in some cases. I'm going to go over proper use of pest monitors, some IPM best practices, company brand history, like I just did, and then innovative pest monitoring tools. This is actually a shorter presentation, so I did cut out quite a few slides. But we have a booth over there if you end up getting more questions.
This is absolutely amazing. Game changer
like
for growing.
Is a concept called zones for pest monitoring. So rather than just haphazardly hanging a sticky trap in your grow space, it's good to think of it three-dimensionally as zone 1 being at the medium itself, zone 2 being at the canopy or just right at the canopy level, and then zone 3 being above canopy. And they're essentially sticky traps can be used to monitor and control pest populations throughout all cycles. So you have vegetative, you have flowering, but even during storage and processing as well. There's an opportunity there to monitor in those stages that often gets overlooked. If you want to place pest monitors, aka sticky cards, below the canopy, like I said, but using a stand, or some people are actually just sticking them right to the side of like Rockwell cubes if you're using those, or plastic bag pots, things like that. That seems to be pretty effective. Some manufacturers like us, we include stands and twist ties, and then people would just take only peel one side and lay it down flat to monitor for crawling pest or for premature pest. We also have some products we developed to solve that as well, which I'm going to get into next. So we want to check sticky cards every few days, record pest populations. There's other people who are going to be talking about some of this stuff here, and identifying any pest presence on the sticky cards. That way you could take the appropriate control measures. from there, and then go back and monitor again and make sure what you're doing is working. Is the idea behind pest monitoring. There are some different methodologies, of course, where you do mass trapping as well, which is popular with some people. This is an example of canopy zone 2. You can do it on the outside of the trellis. Obviously, this stuff can get stuck into the stalk and the leaves and all that kind of stuff. So this is kind of a good way to get that zone 2 monitoring. And then this is an example of blue and yellow alternating method in zone 1 that I've seen up there. And so I took a photo of it where they're just using blue and yellow. There's some people believe blue will attract particular pests, and so they'll use those just to have the opportunity to monitor that. So what I'm going to do is do a brief product review here about what we actually made in regards to all of that now as solutions. So we have dual action plant label, crawl card, sticky card and catch card, ag rolls, and then vector flylight. So I'll just show you guys what these look like. Okay, so this is the dual action plant label. What this is essentially a label, a traditional what you would use to just write a name or a date on the label, but on one side is voided blue, so you can do that, and then the other side has our adhesive. Something that I haven't had a chance to mention, as you know, we're a blue first company. Our adhesives are actually specifically designed to monitor and catch flying pests, and so they actually are crawling pests as well, but this particular glue, this adhesive is not very messy. It actually doesn't leave residue on your skin as much, like you would see with some older style traditional traps. These particular traps are really awesome like that, and we have a lot of growers that are really pleased with that particular aspect. So all of these traps here, these dual action plant labels have that same glue that you expect from Catchmaster. And that allows you to monitor at like a propagation tray, nursery pot level before you go to transplant, then you would move on to the next size and stuff. So this is a crawl card. So it's that, what I mentioned earlier, we found that people were taking our sticky cards and they were cutting them or laying them down flat and just having to mess with them. This is just an easy application called the crawl card. It already has a pre-cut out for it, so you can wrap it around the base of the stalk and lay it down flat. It's voided glue on one side, and it just has the glue on top. So it's ready to go like that. And those come in 50 counts and 5 counts. This is our most popular, highest selling product. You see this throughout the growers market. It's a sticky card, it's just a 3x5 card. It comes in yellow and blue, as you saw there. And this is the one that I was demonstrating in the earlier photos. And then this is our new catch card, which is just essentially a 4x6 double-sided sticky card. It's the same exact quality of glue you expect. This has a new tab on it to make it easy for peeling off the transfer paper, because people's gloves would get stuck to the glue a lot of times. So we listened to the growers and added that on the top. So it's really simple little things. And then of course every single one of these comes with stands and twist ties again. That's to encourage you to place these in the medium, but also at the canopy or above the canopy level. It gives you those options. And then there's ag roll. This is really designed for greenhouse application primarily, but I have some people that are getting creative with it in indoor facilities. It's a little bit more complicated, but essentially what it is it's a 328-foot roll. It comes 12-inch wide or 6-inch. It also comes in blue and yellow. And you roll these out from end to end of your greenhouse, typically above the canopy, and you use the smaller traps kind of in and below the canopy, typically. And here's an example of ag roll sticky tape being deployed above the canopy. It's blue and yellow, just from post to post. There's
this is absolutely amazing.
Putting these things up. This is just one of them. And yeah, vector flylight. So this is that I told you guys about. So essentially, that's the unit right there. This is a single bulb unit with a single glue board replacement spot, and you just change the glue board out as it becomes full. I have an awesome video at my booth if you guys want to come check it out later, and an actual unit there you can look at. We had a facility in Sacramento that had a huge implosion of fungus gnats and filth flies actually in their facility, and it was actually one in the facility. And putting these out in the hallways, we've actually found them to help reduce that pressure and reduce the spread, so they can actually get on top of it and get ahead of the problem. And then what's so great is that afterwards you can go and we actually make white glue boards. These are black glue boards. These black glue boards were really designed to kind of hide the flies, because if you wanted to have a showroom, a restaurant, for example, or a hotel, you don't want to be walking by and seeing a bunch of bugs on a glue board. But we make white ones so you can actually properly monitor, and they're possibly a little bit more reflective, and we found that to be pretty effective for the growers, for the indoor in the hallways and the common areas as well. All right, so that's about it. So if you have more questions, you come by the booth. We also have a pest ID poster as well at our booth that you can grab with photos from Bug Lady. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. At the very least, go by the booth and grab a poster, or if you come by our booth, you can grab one of our posters and one of their posters. But it shows the actual common cannabis pests on a sticky trap, so you can see what they would look like as a grower. So it's a really good tool. Suzanne designed it, and actually Catchmaster's done a great job of innovation in a space that you don't really think of innovation happening. So they're constantly coming up with new ideas, so it's definitely worth checking them out and see what they have. So thanks, guys. Yeah. So next up we have Matthew Brett. He was floating around here. I just talked to him here. All right. So Matthew is with OHP. He's going to talk to you a little about what they do, but they do a variety of different pest and pathogen solutions. Matthew holds a PhD in plant pathology and a Master of Science degree in plant pathology from the University of Florida. So I'll let him take it away.
Okay. Yes. Thanks very much. I don't have any slide presentations.
This is just amazing.
So yeah, I'm Matt with OHP. So we have a whole portfolio of products that you guys use in the cannabis industry. All these products are already listed and have been also tested quite substantially on cannabis as well. I am a grower myself, so I founded Dutch Valley Farms in Oregon back in 2017. And that license we just closed down production, pulled that license off, setting up a new facility in western Portland area. And what I'm going to do is some cannabis research, so it's called Cannabis Science Labs, Cannabis Science Research. And with OHB, some sponsorship and other sponsorships, we'll be doing research on a whole bunch of products that will be designed for cannabis. I've been in this industry a long time. I started with Marrone Bio, so I know Regalia, Venerate, Brandivo products. I was the marketing manager for the entire United States and Canada, so I've seen more grow operations and done more pest control programs than any of you guys have ever seen in your life. And I've seen everything from the smallest, guys who, just love what they do, to the largest conglomeration, companies out there like Aurora. I was talking to one guy about Aurora Cannabis in Canada. I mean, completely the biggest production craziness I've ever seen as far as how much money they poured into it, and of course now they're defunct. So there's a way of producing cannabis, organically, conservatively, but also on a budget and respectively as far as being able to make some money in this business as we go forward down years. Okay, so I have produced over the years many different cannabis guides for insects and diseases. One of the things you'll see is there's a bunch of different chemical classes. So you've got the oils, you've got the soaps, you've got the azadirachtin, you've got the neem oils, you've got what's called myco insecticide, so that's Botanigard. So this is the bottle of Botanigard, this is the liquid formulation, and then there's the wettable powder, which is basically just a powder form. And then there's a whole bunch of other products out there. Of course, there's Iceria for microinsecticide and a couple other ones. And in these broad classes of sort of insecticides, there's a lot of little products all throughout them. And so if you ever want to really learn about some of these products, contact the manufacturer or contact one of the distributor reps, people who distribute these products and fertilizers through all the companies around the United States. I oversee the western half of the United States. So if you're working with someone like BFG, Griffin, Nutrien, Helena, there's a whole bunch of other guys too as well. I'm missing like 3 or 4, 10 of them. And Wilbur Ellis is another one to be familiar out west. And they supply a whole bunch of products for you. And the best way of buying products at scale is through distribution, and that's where you can buy the products more effectively at a cheaper price, and also get really good knowledge from a lot of those distributor reps. If they don't know what their answers are, they'll contact a lot of us reps who are in the industry for a long time, who have some background knowledge in cannabis and your specific production needs. Okay. So if you want to, you can pick up this guide. It's pretty general. Our product might be on it for the neem oil, but there's a lot. You can put that neem oil to other things as well. Okay. And then, as far as overall, what I've got to show, Because I think it's more of like, if you guys have questions when it comes to, overall organic pesticides, what's the difference between 25B and a registered product and whatever. So I'm open to take any questions you guys might have, and if you don't have any questions, you can follow me over to the booth right over there and get some literature. Thanks very much. I'll take up any questions. No questions? Thanks, guys.
Matthew will be around all weekend, so if you guys do have questions about pesticides and pathogen solutions, he'll be available. All right, Justin, come on up. All right, I know these are fast. We'll have longer talks starting at the end of the day today and then tomorrow as well. Justin's with Moliere. He's going to be talking to us about nanobubbles, which is something that I think is really interesting, and dissolved oxygen and how we might want to utilize that in our crop production. I know.
Okay. Thank you. All right, thanks everybody for being here today. Really short amount of time to cover some complex materials here, so I'm going to go through this really quickly. I've drank like 10 cups of coffee, so we're going to make it through this. But for all the follow-up questions, check out the booth. Quick introduction of myself. My name is Justin Levitt. Most of my working adult life, I've worked in the green industry, primarily in integrated pest and pathogen management, which sort of brought me into working for Moliere, where I've been partnering with for the last 3 years. So Moliere looks to put gas into liquid. If you're not familiar with us, we do essentially two things. We are driving dissolved gas and then gas in a bubble form called nanobubbles into that liquid. So those are two separate forms of gas that are working together to create favorable outcomes. So dissolved oxygen is that oxygen that's readily available for plant roots, and then nanobubbles is a bubble that is in the solution as well. We don't have as much time as I'd love to just dive all into nanobubbles, but we can talk about it at the booth. Just a couple sort of basic things. Measuring oxygen in water. When we're trying to look at do we have enough oxygen in water, it's really important to understand what your natural saturation levels are, below natural saturation, or what we're going to be talking about today is supersaturation. So if you're using things like ambient air, like an air compressor, you're not going to be able to get above natural saturation. And so we utilize things like pure oxygen, whether that is a bottled oxygen or from an oxygen generator, to get to supersaturation levels of oxygen. So again, your air compressors aren't really going to get you there. And so when you look at trying to put oxygen into water, what other factors are in that water, like organics, is going to help determine how much oxygen is available. So if you're using organics, a lot of times they consume oxygen out, leaving less for the plants, which is why it's important to try and increase your oxygen levels. There's a lot of different ways to put oxygen in water, but when we're talking about utilizing pure oxygen, that either means we are investing in an oxygen generator or we're investing in bottles of oxygen. So your transfer efficiency is essentially how much waste will you tolerate. So if we're using things like bubblers, these are very poor at transferring that actual gas into liquid in its dissolved form. Now they might mix up water really well and they have value in doing that, but if you're trying to increase your dissolved oxygen levels in water, usually those little bubbler diffusers that are popular are not going to do that for you. Venturi is a step up. Venturis often are about 20 to 60% oxygen transfer efficiency, meaning that you may be losing roughly half of the oxygen that you're trying to put into that water back to the atmosphere. Moliere, our whole business is built around putting a gas into liquid. That is what we do in wastewater, that's what we do in agriculture, that's what we do in all the businesses that we work in. And so we transfer that oxygen at a 90% transfer efficiency. What that essentially means is that you can have smaller pieces of equipment to create a bigger impact because we're throwing away less oxygen. There's also another way to put oxygen to water, and that's usually by chemicals breaking down. One of the more common ones would be like hydrogen peroxide. It is relatively expensive to use hydrogen peroxide solely as a source to increase oxygen, but usually with hydrogen peroxide, your main focus is sanitation, which is also incredibly important. I'll just say that hydrogen peroxide-based products pair really well with highly oxygenated water. So what do we want to cover today? How does oxygen interact with the roots? How does oxygen interact with nutrients and the microbial influences? And what can we do to give water a fighting chance? So first things first, oxygen is key part of root respiration and energy production for the plants. It's a macro element. So roots and plants need oxygen. And most of us have enough oxygen in our water already to keep a plant alive. And that's the same thing. Oxygen, nitrogen are very similar. There are levels of nitrogen that you can utilize that's going to keep a plant alive. And then there's levels of nitrogen that you can utilize that's going to give you the maximum genetic yield potential. And that's the same for oxygen. Increasing oxygen is also going to help with your root zone, giving you better root systems, more root hairs, more fertilizer straws is what I like to call them. So a better surface area of your root system means that you're going to have better efficacy when you're trying to pull something out of these soils. Or pull
And we will be getting right back to the filming. We have to go throw our stuff back on a charger. We will be filming this later today. So come on, catch us. We will be here all day and filming. Thank you guys for coming out and watching the show. So peace and much love. Until the next time, we'll catch you guys then.